That's funny.
I gotta try to make it like, I don't know, I gotta try to make it at least 5 minutes without swearing.
Ooh, that's gonna be hard for me. I have to remember that.
I think the F word's the big one for me.
Oh, God.
That's when, like,
For me,
YouTube
it's all
starts
of them.
going, hey, dude, stop saying the F word.
Well, and you're like, are kids really watching this? You know?
No,
So
and
you
I
have
do
to
the
check
whole
that
thing where I
box
check
it's
the
like-
box,
Yeah.
but they still don't like it.
I've been making employee tutorial videos for my employees. So that's been fun.
Like, okay, speak to that a little bit.
Like, I started one because me and Doug, we were joking about it. We were like, okay,
Love Doug.
It's so hard to get everybody in the same room together to do training. And then it's hard to individually train everybody when they come on. So I'm like, we just need to do training videos and then have them watch them. And we had said it for 6 months. But then I walked in the other day. I was like, I always do a walkthrough after it's closed because I do like the cash register and everything. I went through. And in the mop room, it was literally there. The bucket was not even like tipped over all the way into the sink. The mop was just dripping all over the floor. The floor was like covered in like soapy water. And I was just like, oh my God. Like I didn't know that you have to like teach someone how to use a mop bucket.
Yeah.
So I'm learning these things, you know. So I made a tutorial of how to.
Yeah. You've got some young ones working there.
I do have young ones, and they're precious.
It's our job as elders to teach them.
I don't like to refer myself as an elder.
Well, I mean, if you got somebody who's 18 or younger working for you,
That's true.
they don't know shit.
I mean,
I've got 3 kids, and I love them to death. But one of them, who shall remain nameless,
you know who you are.
like needs. I failed as a parent in a lot of aspects of things.
Why?
In
Just
terms
because
of,
you
like,
haven't.
teaching. Like, this is how you do this. You should know how to do this. How come you don't know how to do this?
I'm a visual learner. I watch someone do something, and I'm like, done, ready to go. So that's why I'm like, a video might help, you know? Because even if I'm like, dump the bucket, they're like, how? And it's like, oh, thought you could figure that out. But you need to be told, and that's okay.
YouTube
you know?
generation.
So I just, they like to see everything, which that's fine.
It's fine. I'm a visual learner myself.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So we'll just give it to them. That's the way of learning. Here we are.
I can see it though. I can see whoever this was, like putting the mop in the water and then just putting it on the floor and doing it and then going, well, maybe it just dries.
Yeah. She's like, it's fine. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
This episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker owner of Dwelling Realty, Keller Williams, Northern Michigan. Are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list your home with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven marketed strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified of buyers. With 17 years in the business, you'll have someone experienced who's on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981. That's 231-690-4981. Or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com.
Oh, this is bomb. That coffee is amazing.
Let me just check and make sure we're rolling.
Okay.
Hey, dude, one time, every now and then, my mind is like, did I push play?
I do the same thing. I can't even tell you how many times when I first had trophies, I would go back at like 9 p.m. to make sure the door was locked.
Yeah, same. And that door's been
Well,
unlocked a few times here.
Well, what? Unlocked?
Yeah, dude, I've come to work.
Like keyed? Like someone like...
No, just unlocked.
Oh.
Forgot to lock it.
Oh.
You know.
That's literally my worst fear.
It is. And I mean, and then I look around and go, did anything get stolen? I had, this wasn't even that long ago, and it was, because that one door is like, use the other door,
yeah.
It's supposed to be locked all the time.
Yeah.
You do shit like I did this morning and let you in and forget it, that I unlocked it.
Yes.
So I think that happened. Danny, I think, did that, or didn't, like, latch it all the way, because I watched the tape.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, this door is open. What the fudge?
Yeah.
So I went back. Fudge. See, I said fudge, YouTube. I went back and checked the tape. Customers came in.
Okay.
Like an hour after closing.
Oh.
And they were just standing there looking around.
Oh, my.
And then they were up at the counter.
Stop.
The reason why I figured out that somebody came in and why I ran to now it's all coming back to me, why I ran to the camera is because there was like $15 sitting on the counter, just sitting there. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh my gosh.
And then I went to the door and the door was unlocked and I'm like, oh fuck, this is not making sense. So I watched it. They came in a good hour and a half after closing.
Yes.
Pitch dark out. Older couple, and they're just standing at the counter looking around.
But the lights were on in here.
Everything was off.
Everything. So lights weren't even on.
Lights weren't even on.
Perfect.
Yeah. And they just walked over to a cooler, which was out of frame, so I didn't see what they grabbed, but I knew it was like maybe some soda or something.
Something worth $15.
I don't even think it was worth $15. And they just looked at each other and threw money on the counter.
If that isn't the most Michigan thing I've ever heard in my life.
Wasn't even pissed. Wasn't even pissed.
You're like, well,
and then I sat there and watched the film for like an hour and a half, just making sure nobody else came in.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally a Michigan thing.
I love people here. They're just I remember when I was driving around when I first moved here, and I was like, what are these little stands that are unmanned by like anyone? And Don's like, oh yeah, those are like fruit stands. Like I'm like, so you could just loot the entire thing, like, and no one would know anything. And he's like, yeah, you totally could, but no one does that. And I'm like, what? Like in California, strawberry stands will get looted, and someone is there. Like they don't want to pay for strawberries. Like it's wild to me. So this whole like, just put $1 in the box. Why doesn't someone steal the box?
Yeah, and it's always like people, locked with the.
There's some that
but they're still
locked.
Just sitting there.
Yes.
Or it's
not chained to anything. Yeah.
There's
like money sticking out of it. You're like shoving your things in there. You're like probably $200
some of the state parks
in there.
are like that though.
That's true.
They just have like this box with no like camera anywhere.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's Michigan. I want to keep it that way as long as possible, but I fear that eventually, just like
I don't know,
humans will infiltrate the whole thing.
I don't think that will happen for another like 30 years, honestly, because like I should say Northern Michigan, because I don't want to speak to the entire region of Michigan, but Northern Michigan, we are like at least 10 years behind everything else.
I've been saying that forever.
Yeah, no, it's like a thing.
You living in California, I always said that whatever's happening there, like trends, styles, music, it takes about 10 years for it to get to Michigan. And
it filters through like 50 different filters.
Yeah.
Because then people are like, oh no, like that's not good. Like my friend was asking me, she was like, oh yeah, like I got like Uber Eats or something. And I was like, it's so great for you. Yeah. Like, I don't think that'll be here for like 10 more years.
It's kind of not even really here.
We have DoorDash, but like, I don't think
that sucks. DoorDash sucks, yeah, I don't dude. Think that really counts. Sucks around here.
Yeah.
They keep trying to get me to sign up for it so they can DoorDash booze.
Do we still have that one Lyft here or what?
Well, I think
there was a one Lyft here.
But the Lyft was also the Uber guy, which was also, I think, the taxi guy as well.
Oh, there is that lady that bought the Manistee taxi company, Jackie, I think is her name. Maybe not. Vicky, that's it. Her name's Vicky.
We're too small for any of that shit. You really got to be like, you got to be the Uber, the Lyft, the taxi.
It's true.
The DoorDash person. You got to be that. If you were that person.
That's why people come here.
Yeah.
Like, I will never forget, I was walking to Trophies, and there was these 3 girls, and this was over the summer, and they were walking with their coffees away from Trophies, and they were all smiling. They're like, wouldn't it be so great to live in a town like this? Like, like, I got my eyebrows done the other day. Like, they walk into the grocery store looking like that. And I was just like, I know. I said the same thing when I moved here. People here, they just don't care. And it's an amazing. At first, we're like, oh my god, look at these like podunk people. Like they're like dressed in the slums, and then you live here, and you're like, okay, I understand.
I mean,
why they're doing that. Like, why do we really care so much?
100%, dude.
That's why people move here.
Although now, like when I wear my Carhartt, people are like, what is that, like a thing? Is that a fit? Are you trying to pull off a fit?
Are people saying fit here now too?
I mean, I say fit. I feel like I get judged that way. I've had that Carhartt since I was a freshman in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, it still fits.
So it's vintage. That makes you even cooler.
Yeah.
You're like probably the definition of a hipster here. There's probably like only a handful of
hipster?
Of hipsters, yeah. Look at your beanie right now. Do you work in a I was just about to say I just listened to that song the other day.
I've been singing that song around my house because it's making its way through TikTok.
But I
again.
love teeny beanies.
Yeah.
Like, I love teeny weeny beanies. Like, they're so... I wear teeny weeny beanies, too.
I'm a little
Also
vain. I'm
own
doing
a
this.
coffee
I'm
shop.
trying to grow my hair back out again, so shit's a little... whatever. So I either wear this or I wear my hat
You're growing your hair out again? How long?
backwards. Probably that length.
Really?
Yeah,
I
like
was
during
just
COVID, that's probably gonna be fucking. Now I'm demonetized because I said the C word. But everybody grew their hair out, right?
Yeah.
And it really got to a good spot. And then one day I was just like, fuck it, cut it off. And ever since then, I've been like, I want it to come back.
Oh, yeah, you got the regret.
You know,
I feel that.
grow that out. Can't wait to shave this fucking thing off. But
Men don't really get, like, the comments about their haircuts from people like women do. I think women expect comments when they get their hair done. But it's, like, funny because when I chop my hair off, the comments from the men were hilarious. Like,
What? Like
oh
what?
my gosh, no, it was so funny. They're like, you cut your hair.
and they just stare at you.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Oh,
yeah.
What did you do?
And they're like, and I'm like, and it's just like this awkward stare off, and I'm just like, yeah, I did. And they're like, oh yeah,
Is this the shortest it's been in a while?
yes. I haven't had my hair short like this since like
I like it.
2018. I love it. I was just bragging about it to someone when I was getting our coffees because I was saying my hair has never been this curly in my life, but now that it's short, it's able to like actually curl, which is cool. And I don't have to do anything to it. It's like I wake up. I'm all about, you know, the less things I have to decide in the morning, the better. You know, it's almost like the Steve Jobs theory of the less things in the morning, the more brain power you'll have later in the day. So like I plan my outfits the night before.
Same.
Yeah, I have like a whole app that like plans my outfits for
Oh,
me.
for real?
Yeah, I put
Well,
my whole wardrobe on there.
I'm just like an average bro. So
Oh,
it's
I'm a
like, what
Virgo.
t-shirt am I going to wear tomorrow? Jeans, t-shirt.
But what
beanie.
t-shirt?
What's that?
But what t-shirt?
I don't
Do you have,
know.
like a color theory, or are you
Depends.
like, okay, what color am I wearing today? Like black? You choose like one color, then you're like, okay, jeans pretty much go with black.
I've got like 2 pair of jeans. Or I'm going through the, like this minimal. Well, I've always been kind of a minimalist anyways.
I'm
No,
too.
it looks like chaos in here right now. But at
This
home
is
it
not
has
your
to be.
minimalist area, yeah.
You know, it has to be for me. And we have an 8-year-old, and she is an anti-minimalist and has been since the day
She's a maximalist.
She's a mess, dude.
She's
She's getting better. But I have
She's testing you.
one of the most annoying things I have is a garbage bag in my bedroom.
Oh.
Because I will fill it up with shit, like clothing,
Okay.
and then let it sit there for 2 months.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yep. And if I don't
Ooh.
take anything out of it, I don't even open it back up. It goes right to Goodwill. Just say 3 months. About once a quarter. I just take one.
I do that.
Start a new bag.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the goal is to not buy anything.
Yes.
You know.
If I buy something, I have to get rid of something. That's
Yeah.
my rule. Because I can't, I refuse to buy more hangers, honestly.
I took my son to move-in day, Ferris, on
Yeah.
Friday. And we went to Walmart to get some last-minute items that he needed.
Okay.
Once we moved them all in.
Yes.
And I had told him before we went down there,
Yes.
because he had mentioned getting hangers. And I'm like, do not buy hangers. Somebody has a pile of hangers for you. We can find you hangers. Don't buy more plastic shit.
Yeah.
You know? First thing he does when we were at Walmart is, where are the hangers?
Did he at least get like the velvet ones that hold your clothes on them? Because I find those game changing. Like I will buy more of those hangers.
Yeah. They were like $1 for 6 hangers. Whatever.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm like,
dude.
But those are always, like when I'm getting rid of shit, it's like, what are
Yeah.
all these fucking hangers for? Take them to Goodwill.
You can make something with them. Do a little craft night. Burn all the plastic and
Burn all the plastic. That's
It's really
a soundbite.
safe. It's really safe. Yeah. It's really good for the environment as well. Do you have a minute to talk about the environment? No, I'm just kidding.
Do you want to talk about the environment?
No, that's how you get anyone to not talk to you. You just say, do you want to talk about the environment? And they're like, oh.
I want to talk about aliens and shit, but nobody.
Oh my gosh, you would love to talk to my husband because, like, I shouldn't say we, he's way more into aliens than I am. I would not say that I'm into aliens, but we've watched a lot of stuff lately.
But like Well, yeah, there's a lot. Did you see that shit in Miami?
I saw your post about it,
Dude.
but no, I didn't see anything about that. No.
It was all over everything. Like 7-foot tall aliens walking around Miami.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Of course, now you go deep enough into Reddit, you could find just about anything.
It's true.
Does he believe the Earth is round?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
Okay. Well, then we have nothing in common.
He listens to so many podcasts about all that stuff, and right now he's listening to the JFK podcast that just came out.
I heard that's.
He said it's really good.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah,
It's been all over.
he said it's
iTunes.
amazing. He loves history. He's actually gotten me into history. The more I'm around stuff, I have to be able to watch something though and put faces and pictures to things. So like listening to a podcast for me is really difficult when it comes to like learning things, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if they video them like I do, I watch. I like to watch.
Yeah,
them
me too.
You know, I'll watch over listening. Depends.
Yeah.
Depends on what I'm doing.
Yeah, depends on what it is, I would say too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't listen to music.
You don't listen to music like at all?
I mean, unless it's Tupac or Kanye, I don't really listen to anything.
Remember when he laughed at me saying he was a hipster?
What? I said Tupac.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Why does that make me
You only listen to the vintage rap, bro. The good rap.
Kanye's got some.
Is it the good rap?
I mean, he's got a little fucked up thing going on in his life, but his music lately, his new shit.
Which one?
I just listened to it this morning on a podcast. They played it, and I'm excited for it. I don't know if I can find it.
Is it like a new one that he's coming out with?
He did a collaboration with this rapper.
Oh.
And they're saying that it's AI, but that it's not really Kanye.
I mean, really, like, who gives a fuck, honestly?
Anymore.
Yeah, because, like, it's just like, remember the whole T-Pain thing? Yeah. And they're like, oh, he's only what's it called? What's that
like
thing
a hype?
that changes your sound. Yeah. They're like, oh, we can always sing to that. Now there's all these videos of T-Pain, like, doing this beautiful singing, and we're like, oh, he was just doing that, like, as a style. Yeah, it's like, whoops. I did watch a documentary about that, too, actually.
Really?
It talked all about...
Post Malone?
How... Exactly. I just saw Post Malone's first song. There was, like, a clip of him, and he actually did as, like, No Tats, from high school. It was a school project or something, and it was adorable. And he sounded so much different than he does now, because it was just a different style of singing. Like... It's crazy what those singers can do. Like,
also one of the first dudes to just put it all out on their own on social media, and then they just explode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is something to that for sure. Balls.
Yeah, it takes some nuts.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, I want to talk about a few things.
Yeah, let's dive in.
How about, like, you're super busy? I think.
Yeah. What is busy?
First of all, before we started filming, you were like, talk about my two businesses, but like, so you're not doing like the realtor stuff or the photo booth stuff anymore either?
Well, as someone who has ADHD, this morning, I'm like trying to prep for this, and I wanted to be like, the first question is, so do you have ADD? Is that a thing? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like, it's not diagnosed. I've self-diagnosed myself, but I'm 100% sure that I have ADHD, but it also has helped me in so many ways that, I'm very grateful for it. And now I know how to manage it. Like, the older I get, the better I can manage it and get things done. Like, I just have learned a lot from that. But what was your question before that? You said something about...
Well, I mean, you got Millennial Decor.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Right? Trophies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, my other business.
For a while there, I mean, I don't know if you're still doing this or not, but the photo booths. Yes. Is your real estate license in escrow, or is it hanging at dwelling?
No. I removed it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the reason I got into real estate was really for interior design. And I wanted to do eventually property management. So when I got married to Dylan, we lived in Hawaii, and when I lived there, I did vacation rental management for a lady that did like over 30 properties, And so basically I managed all of her properties for her while I was living there. And so I basically ran 2 hotels that were right next to each other, like right on Waikiki. It was amazing. Yeah. I got to like manage all of these different people, and there was all these different people from all over the world that would come in either as a visitor and as an owner of the properties. And I like fell in love with that. I love people. I love doing all that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like a thing. And Teresa, who I worked for, she made so much money. I mean, I was the one that was going through all of the money and seeing how much the owners were making. And even after them paying her like over 20% for management fees, they were still walking away with, you know, like profits of over $100,000 a year. These people just owning the properties
just
and
owning it.
Yeah,
not doing shit, just
not
owning
doing
it.
anything. Yep. And so like there was like this couple from Germany, and they would come back only twice a year. So like they would like stay there for a month, and then they'd go back. They were the nicest people, but they like, I mean, they were just raking in the cash. Like it was crazy. So I was like, wow, this whole vacation rental management thing is like very lucrative. That was like at the start of Airbnb. So that was in 2015.
Okay.
So I moved here in 2017, and I, you know, looked it up, and it was like, oh, in order to be a property manager, you have to be a broker. In order to be a broker, you have to be a licensed real estate agent full-time for 3 years. Yeah. And I was like, that's easy. You know, like I can do real estate.
Yeah, but don't you have to like sell a certain amount of properties too in that 3 years?
Yes. Well, so if technically, I think I could be totally wrong, but I think that if it was your sole income, even if you only made 3 sales a year, I think that counts as your full time.
Okay.
But I wasn't doing it as my sole thing, so I couldn't count it as full time. Yeah. But I couldn't live off of only 3 sales a year, and at the time when I moved here, it's 2017. All the houses were under $50,000.
Yeah.
So it was like, yeah, like it was wild. So basically your sales, you know, your money coming from the sales was only like $1,100.
Yeah.
So it was just like you'd work for basically 2 months and deal with all of these people and then get $1,100. And it's just like, I'm going to have to sell like 6 houses a month in order to be able to like get to the income that I eventually want. Granted, I didn't think about inflation, where it would be today. I mean, still, I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's really, like, it's definitely for the right person. I would not consider myself a salesman. I like sales that's, like, kind of, like, it's hard because I do consider myself a salesman, but I don't because, like, I'm not someone who pushes someone into things. I'm the one that's like, oh, you really want this, but if you don't, it's fine. And I use that as manipulation for, like, they're like, oh, well, snap, like I might really want that. Yeah, and I'm like, no, you don't want it. I'm done with you. And then when they crawl back to me and I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'll do that. But I'm also like, my dad like has this, you know, he's a boomer, so he has the attitude that everyone's out to get him. So I kind of have that in me to help people from not getting gypped. I've realized that turning 30. So, like, that was a really hard thing for me with real estate because there's a lot of gypping in real estate, I would say, because it's just a lot of bickering. And there was, like, this one instance where we were doing a sale and they were arguing about the laundry machine, about the washer.
Yeah, if that was me, if I was a real estate agent, like, hey, listen, would you shut the fuck up?
Well,
you want the property
I'm no nonsense. So I was just like, really, like, are we really fighting over this? Like, the contract says this, and they're like, well, they're going to walk away. I'm like, do it then. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I don't have time to do this. Yeah, it's just like, so it's just weird stuff like that. I couldn't handle it. It's definitely for the right person because there are amazing real estate agents out there. I mean, we obviously know a lot of them.
Few.
Yeah.
I dipped my toe in the water in 2007.
Okay. Just
before the market crash in 2008.
Oh boy.
Yeah, a little bit of a transition in my life, but Bob Lyman, who you don't know, he passed away before you moved here. Was a real estate broker here in Manistee, and my dad actually worked for him. Kind of got his foot in the door with Bob, and Bob was like, "Hey, you can easily make $35-40 grand a year." You know, in 2007, I was like, "That sounds pretty good to me," and all I'm doing is like selling houses. There's no heavy lifting here.
Yes.
Yeah, I did it for about 9 months or so, and was like,
yeah, and then hated
this.
You're like, this is the worst thing I've ever
Yeah,
done.
this is dumb. Nobody wants to buy anything. Everybody's pissed because their houses are, they're underwater and everything. They're all going to foreclosure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's when people started making money in the foreclosure market.
Yeah.
Realtors that were out there doing the short sales and,
right.
selling for banks that owned properties.
Yep.
So.
Which there's still real estate agents here in town that do that and they like specialize in it. And I'm like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
Get after it.
Now that seems like a lot of work.
It's so much work.
Yeah.
It's so much work. But it's like if you're, I don't know, like if you're tenacious enough, I feel like you can do it. So I can't remember. There's one agent in town that was at Lighthouse Realty where I worked when I first got into real estate. She was amazing. I don't remember her name, but she was like a savage. I mean, she was just like selling houses like
Linda?
crazy. No, it wasn't Linda.
Right.
It wasn't Linda. Me and Linda, we did share a office together. We were office mates. But no, real estate, no, I don't do real estate anymore.
Yeah, we'll take that off the list.
Yeah, because I'm done with that. The photo booth, I still have the photo booth. And I still have plans for the photo booth. But timing here, as you know, is everything. And, I mean, I don't know how to put it delicately. Like it's just a 10-year thing. It's just like, I'm just waiting for it to be ready. And really I've got some thoughts in the works. I was thinking about partnering with maybe like a wedding event center.
Just going to say that.
Yeah.
If there was somebody
doing
around
a
here did a
contract.
shitload of weddings and was like, hey, listen, for X amount of money or whatever, or the bride and groom could pay every time, some shit like that. But yeah.
Yeah, people up here like one-stop shops. So it's like if you can offer a photo booth at your wedding event.
Just trying to call.
Yeah, and then you can make money off of it. So I was just like, I don't know. It's easy money, and I knew how to build it because I had done photo booths at my cousin had a whole wedding photography business that I worked for. So I'd been working in the photo booth biz for a while, and then my husband obviously builds computers. We were like, let's do this.
Techie.
Yeah, so we just built it, and we were like, woo! But I like it, but it's...
You met Dylan in Hawaii?
I did. No, I did, yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Sacramento, California. And I was, at the time, working for a flight attendant. And I would nanny for flight tickets. So I went to Hawaii.
Look at you. You were gigging even back in the day,
I was, dude. I had so many nannying jobs. Nannying is very lucrative for any youngsters listening to this podcast because you could really, I mean, you charge an extra $1 per kid. So if you start at, 20, you can eventually, it's like, I would it was awesome. But I mean, I'm just going to say her kids were a terror. So it was really work getting those tickets. But yeah, no, I met him actually at a bar. We were 20 years old.
Nice.
We went on a bar crawl as 20-year-olds. And I remember buying the tickets from this guy on the street. And he was like, yeah, it's $100. We were like, we don't have $100. Like, we're 20 years old. Like, it was me and my best friend at the time. Memorial Day weekend. We were like, eh. And he was like, okay. Like, I'll give you them for $50. And I was like, I can't even drink at this. Like, what is the point? He's like, people will buy you stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. And full disclosure, the whole trip to Hawaii was to get my friend laid by an Australian man. So that was my mission.
Hawaii's got a bunch of Australian dudes there?
So many it's so close. It's so cheap for them to fly to Hawaii. So many Australians in Hawaii.
Australia is really close to Hawaii?
No, it's not close, but as far as flying.
Oh,
I mean, it's like you either go...
Flat, dude, I'm telling you.
Like, you either go left or you go right, and it's like right by Hawaii. So there's a lot of Australians there. So it was like almost it was the second to last night of our trip, and I was like, we gotta get you laid. We're going on this fucking bar crawl. So we go on the bar crawl. I find her an Australian man. She disappears. I'm like, perfect. Case closed.
Just
done.
I trust you, random Australian guy.
You can. You're fine. It's fine. We're with a big group of people, So it's like, so then I was by myself hanging out with all these people, and I saw Dylan across the street. And I was in these ginormous platform heels because I thought I was really cute. Yeah. And literally ran across the street at full sprint to Dylan. Scared the living shit out of him.
Yeah, it would be scary.
And he's an introvert, so he didn't even want to be there. But I didn't know that. He was just this attractive man. I'm like, you must be a womanizer, womanize me, you know. But he ended up being very sincere. We even walked by a gentleman's club, and I was like, oh. He was like, I've never been to one of those. And I was like, oh, okay, never been to a strip club. Like, I've never been to a gentleman's club. You know, I was like, okay, you know, like, this boy's innocent. You know, like, he's so sweet. And I flew back the next day. He came and saw me downtown. And pretty much ever since then, it was fate. We got married a year later after. We wanted to get married 2 months after we met. Then my parents said no. They were like, this is a stranger, and we've never met him. And I'm like, that's totally understandable. Like, we'll wait. Like, I'll wait a year for you. So we waited 1 year from then, and then we got married. And that was 10 years ago this year in October.
So what brought you to Michigan?
He's from Grand Rapids.
Okay.
So when he got out of the military, he did
what branch?
He was in the Army. He did signals intelligence. I
won't hold it against him.
So
military intelligence. That's an oxymoron.
He can't really tell anybody what he did there, like not even me. So I just tell everyone he's a spy. He's like, don't tell people that. And I'm like, well, you can't really tell me what you did, so you're a spy.
Jason Bourne.
I'm like, you were shooting people down with drones. It's okay. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to confirm it. I already know. You know, give him a wink. And he's just like, stop. But no, he's from Grand Rapids. Grew up in Cascade area. Went to school, Forest Hills Central, I think. And so we moved back here after he was out of the military. His contract was up. And the whole reason he wanted to be in the military, this is a side story. He wanted to work for the NSA. But his little brother is adopted from Ethiopia. And so the 3 years that he was there in the military waiting for his NSA clearance to come in, they were asking for all this paperwork on Rudy, who was his Ethiopian brother, because they thought that his brother was a spy. So then he literally did not get the clearance until I think a month prior to us leaving. And so it was like he had already like done it's a lot of work to get out of the military, I will say that. So, because they don't want you to go. They had kept trying to, like, keep him in. I remember him coming to me and being like, dude, like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It depends on the MLS.
It depends on his job, for sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like he had a high-level job. So
he did.
That's a lot of money to train somebody.
It is. There's a lot of schooling. Yeah. He went to Texas for, I think, like 9 months or something and did schooling. And, it's a thing. So, it was kind of hard to get out. And then, of course, a month before we're leaving, they're like, oh, your NSA clearance is in. And we're like, okay. So, he finally got to the NSA the month before we left, and he came home and he was like, that place was crazy. Yeah. He's like, there are people literally dragging their heads on the walls like this, like in the wall. He's like, they're head draggers. That's what people call them. And I was like,
what does he mean?
Like, literally, the people that are working there, they would drag their heads against the wall, and there's this long hallway apparently, and like they would just drag their head against the wall. Like, the people there are just like wild is what he was like. He's like, it was like a mental institution.
Nice.
He was like, I would never want to work there. He's like, even if I did. So it was kind of a crazy thing, you know. So then he was like, oh, we'll go back to Michigan, and then we'll go to school and we'll finish our degrees. And so we both came back here to Manistee to live in the cottage, because they had a family cottage here, to go to school and then leave and then go back to Grand Rapids. And of course that never happened, because I got into real estate and I was like, this place is really cheap. Like, we could buy a house here really cheap. And we ended up doing that. So now here we are.
Yeah, I mean, the real estate part of it, God, in hindsight, there were so many times I looked at properties like, I should just buy that, rehab it, and maybe use that as a rental or flip it or something. And just was like, had that like failure to launch.
Yeah.
Like that had enough to maybe get an extra house, and then I'd have to finance a bunch of shit. Yeah. And I'm really like kind of against going into further debt. So I was like, I just don't know if I can do it. And but it's one of those things. It's kind of like, you know, hey, if you got $5,000, you can invest in this. And you're like, oh, but is it going to pop? So sometimes
for sure.
My intuition on it wasn't dialed in.
It's just like, and it was, not that it was close to the last recession, but it kind of was. It was kind of like, okay, it hasn't even been 10 years since, so it's like this could all like come crumbling down in a couple years. I think that's what a lot of people thought. a lot of people weren't really buying stuff. And then really too, like, I feel like another thing here is like, in this small town, a lot of people were buying here because it was ridiculously cheap.
Right.
So it was even like, even though it was cheap then, like, if it was $85,000, that was expensive here. It's like, no, I could buy a, $30,000 one. So it's like, even then, people were cheap, and they're like, this isn't worth $84,000. I was saying the same thing.
Commercial real estate.
When
it just spiked over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And, but purchases did.
Yeah.
But it's still like people are coming to Manistee to buy commercial property, and then we'll figure out later what we're going to do with it. Because they can get like the same size building here in Manistee for a third of the price than in Grand Rapids or anywhere else.
Well, they should stop doing that because it's pissing me off.
Yeah.
Because you need to do something with the building. If you do something with the building, that's fine. But like, I'm like getting...
Yeah, we have property owners, commercial real estate owners in Manistee that are just sitting on...
Yes.
And buildings are falling apart.
Yes. Well, not even that. I was just telling someone this the other day. Like, as a business owner, like, I have 2 businesses on one block, which there are other people that have multiple businesses here, which blows my mind. And I don't know. It's like, I'm going to be like super, I don't want to say I'm going to be negative, but I kind of am. Everyone was like, oh, Sleigh Bell was a huge success. So many people. And I'm like, could be better.
Could be a lot better.
Could be 10 times more people.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing Sleigh Bell the same weekend as Thanksgiving? I said it.
Oh, you mean just because of the amount of people that are back home?
Yes.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many people have told me, like, when I posted stuff about Sleigh Bell, they're like, wish I could be there. Was just there last weekend. And I'm like, we could double the size of Sleigh Bell literally by pushing it one weekend prior.
It's an interesting take. I never thought about that. We, the city just had put together a special events committee to focus on signature events for this. I'm on the committee.
Oh.
And the goal is to eventually, and hopefully with a little bit of fucking prodding here, pushing, that we can get somebody hired that's a special events coordinator. But not some fucking, random person. Somebody that has the experience. So, I mean, the income has to be there. That's the other thing. When you have positions like that, and you want them to be good, you can't hire some 22-year-old kid and pay him $30,000 a year and give him no benefits and say, now take on the biggest events that the city has to offer and make them awesome. You have to have somebody that's got experience in event coordination, and you have to pay them. And you have to pay them like,
you do have to pay them.
We're not Manistee. When you look at, some of that shit drives me nuts too, when you're looking at like pay scales for even entry-level positions in any organization all the way up to high-level organizations. It seems like Northern Michigan is, again, 10 years behind in terms of, like what somebody should be paid for the job that they're doing, which is why a lot of talent doesn't come here because they can get what they can get in other places.
And housing.
More and more and more, I mean, in some cases it's 30-40% more, which is insane. So we have to start thinking that way. And,
for sure.
And if we get somebody at that caliber that can handle these kind of events, then it pays for itself. That person
definitely.
pays for themselves.
I think that we could definitely, just like I'm saying with Sleigh Bell too, it's like my sales were about the same as Labor Day weekend.
Sleigh Bell is not my busiest day. It's not my most profitable day. It's busy because there's a fuckload of people walking in and touching shit, which in my mind, it's like, don't touch it unless you're going to buy it. I don't want your fingers on everything. But
they love touching things.
It's a good night, but it's not. It's in my top 10. So, it's not the top, and it could be better. It could be a lot better. When there's 20,000 people downtown. And we were open during the whole thing. We always are. We're one of the few places that stay open the entire time. But when the parade starts, nobody's inside. And it was perfect weather to have more people downtown. But
Oh yeah.
You had to But you're right. How can we get more people to do more downtown?
Well, and I think too, I think like something I've noticed on River Street, because I do it and I've caught myself doing it, is not that we forget, because that's a terrible word and I don't want to say that people are forgetting other people, but I feel like Sleigh Bell should almost be like where every business is downtown for the day. Like everyone should have like a tent downtown. Like if we shut down the whole entire street at 9 a.m., why don't we have things in the street?
Yeah,
like they had the one like horse ride thing, and it's like, oh, it's free, and there was like a whole line. It was great. It was right in front of my store.
And horse shit.
It was great.
Everywhere.
But it's also like, where did it go, by the way?
They scoop it up. But man, there was a big steamer right in front of Manistee Beverage for a while.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of that. It stinks.
My God. Well, so did they go to like houses and look at lights? I mean, where did it even go? Just down River Street?
I thought they just kind of looped River Street.
Yeah, see, it's like, I don't know. We have all these historical houses. I feel like it could be a big, I don't know. I'm very inspired by like the German markets, for Christmas, where they have like basically, lights up everywhere and everyone has a tent and there's chocolate in the streets. I feel like, there's people like Danny who make candy. I didn't know that she made candy until after Christmas, because the Facebook post was like, 7 days ago. And I was like, fuck you, Facebook. Like, I'm trying to buy some damn candy, but she's all gone now. It's like, I didn't know about it. And so it's like, I feel like everyone could be on River Street that one day a year. I feel like even like I love Two Slices, like she could like have pre-made sandwiches and sell them in the street. Like I feel like the street should be filled the entire fucking day, like until 5:30 p.m. because it's like busy and then it's slow and then it's busy and then it's slow. Like I was open from 11 to like 7:30, so it was like I was either slammed or there was no one in there, and it's like it should just constantly be slammed.
Yeah. Especially for coffee and whatever. I mean, on days like that. Yeah. Yeah, we need a unified front, and we need everybody to get together and say, yeah, we're going to do it.
It's just a lot of planning.
But is it, though? Yeah. I mean, I put on a lot of events, and I'm not sold on that it's like a lot of planning. It's mostly a lot of communication.
Definitely.
Like, hey.
Yeah. That's part of planning. Yeah. Yeah.
You just got to get people to just take the leap and do it.
Yes.
Stay open. I mean, listen, I get like fluctuation in hours, seasonality, everything. But if we're going to talk about Sleigh Bell, then everybody's open. And I get it. There's a lot of people that close and say, well, I want to give my staff an opportunity to enjoy the parade. But
that makes no sense.
You also have to let all the people that are out there. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can delineate from that. I think it either open or you're not open. Yeah. And I think we all need to be open for that event. For sure.
There's definitely times where you can give your staff a break. Yeah. I mean, like, that's fine. But, people, like, just randomly closing and be like, we're actually going to give our staff a break today. And it's like, stop saying it's your staff. It's you. And it's okay that you need a break. Like, just say, Mama's tired. Yeah. Okay? And Mama needs a break. And I'm done with all these people, and I'm going to be closed for the day. And I'd be like, good for you, girl. Good for you. Instead of being like, we're going to give the staff a much needed break today because we've overworked them for the last, like, 20 days. And it's just like, so you're a piece of shit.
I mean, but I took a piece of advice from Dan Bathrick before I opened the store. And, he had some words of wisdom when it came to, when we first opened, it was just Betsy and I. Yeah. And then we hired Meredith, and we've had some staff changes, and but from the beginning, it was, if you're going to hire somebody, because of the seasonality of River Street, right, you should tell them ahead of time before that they have a choice. You're going to work a ton of hours. Yeah. May, June, July, and August, and the beginning of September. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do after that. Yeah. I'm going to keep you on payroll. I'm going to give you the hours that you're used to. You take the time that you need. Here's your vacation or whatever. Yeah. You don't get to take a vacation in these 4 months.
Yeah, it's true.
And you don't get like random days off. These are when I need you. And if you can do that, then you can work here. Yeah. I think it's fair.
That's super fair.
You get 6 months to do whatever you want to do after that.
Yeah, totally fair.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. That's fair, I would say.
All right, James, dial this fucker back in. So,
what are we talking about now?
Let's
What's
talk
next?
about millennial decor, and let's talk about decor. I don't know. I'm trying to be French, and then get in the trophies. But like,
okay,
what aside from your self-proclaimed ADHD?
Yeah,
is it just because you just want to do it yourself? Like, what made you take the step to open up your own business?
Honestly, I worked for Ed Kriskowitz at the time. Mm-hmm. I got a job with him working at Bluefish, actually. And he is an incredible human being. Like, he's good shit. He's amazing. Like, he inspired me to do so many things. I mean, he took me from working at the bar. I did not know how to make any alcoholic drinks, by the way. And basically being like, oh, do you want to be an interior designer? And, like, just, like, threw it on me. And I remember the first day that he took me to a client meeting and we were picking out kitchen things, and I am just like very much of a go-getter, and he was just like, okay, yeah, so we're gonna pick kitchen stuff for them. And so I was talking with the clients, and then all of a sudden I'm with the clients picking stuff, and he comes up to me and he goes, I think I'm gonna go, I think you're okay. And I was just like, okay. Pretty much ever since then it's been just like a rolling ball, you know. Like I did all of his clients' houses when I was working for him, and that was incredible because it's like these amazing people come here and build houses, you know, and they have money, but it's interesting in the ways that they spend it, you know. Like something that I really appreciated when I first moved here and started working for Ed was all of these people building their houses for their families, you know, all of them being like, I want this to be like a gathering place for all of my kids to come, you know, like they all live all over the world and this is the one place that they come. And I'm like, wow, that's something really special about that. Yeah. And so I was working for Ed and it was amazing, and he kind of told me, hey, there's this Spark competition, you know, and this was 2019, and he was like, you should do that. And I was like, you know, like, what would I even do? You know, he was like, well, I don't know. He's like, just pitch something. And I was like, you know what? Okay, fuck it. Like, that's been my my motto for a while. Yeah. Just fuck it, you know? Nice. So and I was like, I told Dylan about it. Dylan ended up going to the Spark competition too. We didn't end up winning, but what it did do was it sparked me, you know, to do my own thing, you know? And so like with the Spark thing came like a lot of disorganization, I will say, because the Spark thing was not quite organized.
Yeah, I mean
at the time.
I've said it since the inception. Yeah, I mean, they want it to be like fucking Shark Tank.
Yeah, and they
really, you know, I get what they were trying to do from a promotional and marketing standpoint, but they could have done it a lot better. And the money, I mean, when you did it, what was it, 5K?
It was 5K.
That's not enough.
No,
Yeah. 5K is enough for somebody who wants to buy a small piece of equipment that's going to get them over the hump to really start their business.
Yeah.
In my business, for example, $5,000 is 1/10 of
it's like one case of alcohol.
Order.
Yeah.
One delivery.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It does nothing. I'm not trying to sound like, you know, that's not enough money. Because to somebody, it probably really is.
Yeah.
You want to fucking make T-shirts or whatever?
Right.
$5,000 can get you the thing you need to stamp some shit on a T-shirt.
Yes.
But it needs to be super impactful. And there's way more money out there that they could have leaned on to make it 25. I think I always said $50K.
Yeah.
$50,000 and rent free for at least a year.
Mm-hmm. I'd even take $20K and rent free.
I think the rent free part of it would have been so clutch.
Yeah.
There are places around here that the city could just be like, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Put your shit up in there and go.
That's very true.
Good luck.
Yeah. That poor Spark thing. I think too, it was like they lacked, you know, the whole thing too was they were going to teach you how to open a business.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too. You have to have mentors
They had the SBA come out and we had scheduled meetings with them, but the meeting was about nothing.
Yeah, well, the SBA gives loans.
Yeah.
They're not teaching people how to
they didn't
put a business plan together.
Yeah, no, there was no even ask of a business plan. Let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
In Spark competition, they didn't even ask for a business plan. It was like, okay, do a presentation. It's like, oh, okay, I know how to use PowerPoint. I can do that.
Yeah, I don't care how small your business is. If you don't have a business plan, you don't have a business.
Yeah, it's true. I still don't have a business plan.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't even just something for yourself?
Well, I mean, I do, but it's not like a full, like, 20-page.
A business plan for Manistee Beverage, for example, was 1 page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And all the business plans that I looked at were, like, 80 pages, and it was like, what's your... And I was like, I don't know any of that.
It's like a 2-hour-long meeting. You can fucking drop that down to 45 minutes. If you can't, then you're wasting people's time. And if it's a 45-minute meeting, that's a fucking email.
Yeah, definitely. Seriously. No. But yeah, no, I did the whole Spark thing and didn't win, but in the process, which their whole plan was, they were like, oh, we're going to go take you to downtown places. They took us to downtown places 2 days before the thing, by the way. So, like, how could you even incorporate that into your presentation 2 days prior? So I went on my own, and I went to look for properties on my own, because I went and looked with Brandon Ball, because he was the one who was looking everyone around. But then I also, before that, I went and looked at properties myself, because I was just like, can't wait. And that's where I found the spot that I'm in now, because there was this little sign on the door, and it was like, for rent. And I was like, let's just see how much this is, because that was another thing too, is it was like... Yeah, 2 days before, it was like, Brandon was like, oh, you know, like, this one's $1,500, and I was like, none of these would work. Like, literally none of them would work. It was all so expensive at the time. I opened in, 2020. This was in 2019. But yeah, no. So I did that, and basically I had no idea what I was going to do with Millennial Decor. And really what it was I was working out of my basement at the time, and I was paying rent for my basement. And the space that I'm in now at the time was the same price as I was paying for my basement. So I was like, well, I might as well like be downtown, like next to a coffee shop. So I had no idea what I was going to do. No idea I just knew that I was a interior designer and doing whatever. So I've kind of just, a lot of the clients that I was working with Ed, like, have carried me over the past 3 years, honestly. So it's like, it's been kind of wild, because it's like, it's morphed a lot. Now I'm doing project management, because I feel like there's not a lot of project management here. So, and then I'm also, listening to people, because a lot of people are saying that there's no furniture here, which I agree with, but they also don't want to spend any money.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I get it too. I totally get it. So I'm trying to find a perfect balance in between what to do for that. And I feel like people are starting to understand that not the more you spend, but the better quality of the couch, the better. So I'm kind of leaning into that. I've got more small stuff. I kind of realized when I was buying stuff to furnish the space, I was buying kind of weird, quirky things that I liked, and people were responding to that, which I didn't think that they would. I thought people would want just like this, modern space. I was just like, oh, there's people wanting it. And then, like, I bought this crazy rug that was like, had like, I think it's called a chindi rug or something. I don't even remember, but I had so many comments on it. They were like, that is such a cool rug. And I was like, I thought everyone would hate this fucking rug, and everyone is talking about it. And I'm like, you know what, that's important to listen to, because I'm like, okay, people like my weird shit. And so now I just buy anything that I like. I'm just like, you know what? I like this weird pillow. Let's throw it in Millennial Decor. Let's sell it. So it's like, I've kind of just started filling it with things that bring me joy and that I feel like will bring other people joy. Yeah. I have a holy shit neon sign in there right now, and everybody is like, you see that? You see that sign? I'm like, yeah, you should buy it.
Everything in there's for sale, right?
Everything in there's for sale, yeah.
Yeah, I really liked your Christmas display, too.
Oh, thank you.
And then I saw Doug taking it all down by himself.
I know, yeah. That's what I pay him for.
Dougie. How'd you find him? He is a gem.
Oh my gosh. Everything in my life is like all connected, which is so crazy. Yeah. Life is so wild. I am like, I say that I'm very powerful because I manifest things without knowing it. And we'll get into that with trophies, I guess. But with Doug, it was funny because his stepdaughter and I were really close in California. We didn't grow up together, but we met. Yeah, we met when I was 18. And so she had just broken up with her fiance in 2020, beginning of 2020. And I was like, you know what? I've got this apartment. Like, why don't you just come move here and just like live in my apartment? Like, my brother-in-law at the time was just, he had just bought the building or leased the building for Med's Cafe. And so I was like, you could be the store manager at Med's Cafe. I'll talk to my brother. So we got that all figured out. So she was living here, and Doug and Tristan came to visit her to come see Michigan, and it was in the fall.
Oh, picture. It was like a scene out of a Hallmark movie.
Yes.
Let's
so
go
literally, they were like smitten by Michigan, and Doug like loves the cold. I mean, he wears shorts in like 30-degree weather. Like he loves the cold weather, and Tristan does too. Like I wouldn't say she likes it as much as Doug does, but I mean, they keep their house pretty cold, so they like cold weather. And then it's on the beach. They were like, oh my god, this is like amazing. And Tristan is from where I am from. She's from like where it snows, that in the mountains, so she's kind of used to all this too. Sure. And Doug's from Southern California, so he's not as familiar with it, but so that's how I found them. So then I had what's funny too is Lindsay's sister Kaylee, actually, who was also living in California at the time. She moved here, and so then she started working for me because I was like, oh, well, I need an assistant, so like you can help me be an assistant. And so this was 2020. I was still busy with stuff, so like I had her working, and then Doug and Tristan announced that they were going to move in February. I think it was that February, and they were like, oh my gosh, Doug is such a great interior designer. And I was like, really? And I was like, I could totally use another designer in here. And they were like, oh yeah. So Doug came and moved. Like I said to him when he came the first time, I was like, oh, I heard that you like interior design, and he's like, whatever, he's so modest.
Yeah. So
then the second time he came, I think that's when we talked, and I was like, I'd really like you to like help me with stuff, and then we can figure out where it goes from there. So him and Kaylee all worked together, and we did Meds Cafe all together and furnished it, and we've done tons of projects since then. Kaylee is now a dental assistant down in Grand Rapids. She just got engaged. And Lindsay's in Muskegon. She's got her house now. So like everybody's stayed here and loves it, and it's yeah. So I love bringing people here because it's so much better than California.
Yeah. I've never been to California, but I'm not missing anything.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Trophies.
Yeah, trophies. Yeah. Well, so my brother-in-law owns Meds Cafe with his best friend, and I designed a couple of their dispensaries.
And do you and Dylan have any play in Meds Cafe?
No.
Okay.
I'm just the interior designer.
Okay. Because for some reason I thought somebody told me that.
Yeah.
Dylan was part of that, but it's just the family.
Yeah, it's just the family.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm close with Mike, obviously, and Ryan. But so they've got that going, and they've been opening so many locations. Like they're doing,
they've got a bunch in Michigan.
They have a bunch now. Yeah. They're incredibly intelligent human beings, and that was like one of the first things I noticed when I met Dylan's family. I was like, wow, this family, like incredibly smart humans. All of them pretty much entrepreneurs. Like Tara, his big sister, she does nutrition stuff, and she's bounced around, and her husband owns a couple CrossFit facilities in Vegas, and so it's a very like smart family. And I had noticed that right on. I was like, this is good people, because I'm also an entrepreneur, and we need other entrepreneurs to talk to, to relate to. So
this is why I like doing this podcast.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to other people that have the same problems as you. But so trophies came about because I have my space right next to where Goodies was, and I loved Goodies. That was the whole reason I had my space there, was because the coffee shop method, honestly, because people are always going to a coffee shop, so they'll just eventually walk into my space, which worked. They totally do. And so when I first moved in there, Rita, who owned Goodies at the time, came to me and said, I'd like to sell you Goodies. And I said, I don't really have the money. I barely had enough money to open this place up. She goes, okay, I just wanted to make sure that that I came to you. She's like, I'm going to put it up for sale. And I'm like, okay, love it. So that was the summer of 2020. Yeah. Okay. So I think it was the year, because she sold it in the summer of 2022. So that was like 2 years went by pretty much. Yeah. So then Lana purchased it in the summer, and came to me with all these exciting plans. It was like, oh, here, like I helped her like pick the logo. Like she was like, oh, we've got this, and like what color should I do in there? And I was like, yeah, I'll help her because she's my neighbor. Like if she gets business, I get business.
Sure.
So I was pretty much taking it as just, that basically. So she just didn't like it, like she's, again, an incredibly intelligent human being, and I've heard multiple things. Like I haven't really heard like her exact story, I've heard multiple things from other people. I've heard from some people that it was her husband's idea and then she got stuck there, but then I've heard other things where it was her idea and then he got stuck there, and he worked at the prison, so I didn't understand how.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out for them, and that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so then she pretty much...
First of all, it's a hard thing to, number one, open your own business, and it's an even more difficult thing to be like, fuck.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't the dream I thought it was going to be.
Well, and I mean, she purchased it for quite a sum of money. So that as well is incredibly difficult, because just running a business in itself with not that much debt is scary. But then having huge amount of debt and you're like, oh, now this is my life. It's like, a little overwhelming. So she just didn't like it. So then I obviously was at my office every day, and she was kind of like closing randomly. She was just like kind of just like not open some days, and I was like, what's going on? I remember going to the Outpost, and we're all chatting there, me and Les and Carrie and a couple other people, and we were all like, oh, when do you think Goodies is gonna close down? And I said, I guarantee you by March 1st they're gonna go down. And I think it was March 2nd she closed the doors, because I remember her locking the door. It was like a Thursday, and I was like, they should be open. I was sitting on my couch, like on my phone, and I saw her like take stuff to her car, and I was like, what's that about? There's something weird here. And then it was closed, and then I think the next day Kathy Baker came in and said, she texted me and said that like she's done. And I was just like, I'm like, now what? Like, who's going to go in there now? So then when I first moved in, I actually told the building owner that I wanted first dibs on that side. I was like, if something ever happened to Goodies, like, I just want first dibs. I might want to expand. Who knows at the time? I didn't know it was only going to be 2 years or 3 years or whatever. Thought I was going to have like 10 years to think about this shit. No. So then he was like, okay, like, so he came downstairs. We talked about the lease, and I was like, because he was raising it because of inflation, which is understandable. Sure. But I had kind of counted on what the rent was before. So I was like, fuck, like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford all this stuff myself. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, what do I do? Is this the right thing? Because opportunities can present themselves, but they might not always be the correct opportunity or something that you should jump on. So I'm always very cautious about that. I'm a stage 5 overthinker. And so I'm always like, is this the right thing? Is it, So I called my brother-in-law, Ryan, and I said, because I had actually, funny enough, mentioned my coffee shop idea to him a month prior. Like, no, it was over Christmas. That Christmas, we were joking. I was like, I just thought of a funny coffee shop name. It's called Trophies. And I was like, then we'll have the sizes being bronze, silver, and gold. And I was like, oh, we were like joking because we were like, now here we are. Yeah. But no, so, and he was like, like, that sounds like a great, like, but it never came, because we were brainstorming. We were just chatting about it. So then I like called him. I was like, hey, remember when we were talking about that coffee shop? I was like, is that something you're like really interested in? He's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, next door to me is empty. I'm like, the coffee shop is leaving. And I was like, I don't know what's happening with all the equipment there, because it's still there. I was like, I don't know if they're selling it, what's going on, if it comes to the building. Because it was a bitter end with the old owner and the new owner.
I'm sure.
So there was talk of what's going to happen with the equipment. So that was a whole thing. I was like, this might be a really good opportunity for us to be able to step in. There's already everything there. So it's like, we don't have to really buy anything. So all signs were basically leading to me doing it, So
what was the startup cost? I mean, did you have to buy all the, you don't have to tell me the dollars, but did you have to buy the equipment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Because we didn't.
But was that it though?
That was it. Yeah. That was it. Yeah. That was the thing. It was like, we didn't have to buy the business. We didn't have to buy the building. We only had to buy the equipment and everything inside, all of the stock in the basement.
Jesus Christ, dude.
So it's like, and I was just like, kind of have to do
You
it.
have to do it. I'm fucking pissed that I didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
Man.
it was a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pass it up. Yeah, I couldn't. So it was just like, the minute I heard that the building owner had walked someone that wanted to open a pawn shop through there or some sort of, something like that.
Come on.
I was like, that's fine for downtown. Like, it's totally okay business. But next to me is not ideal because it doesn't bring in the customers that I would want to be purchasing expensive couches.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
So I was like, okay, and I'm kind of sad because I also heard that someone else was looking at that space, and I love this person's business. But I was just like, I need a coffee shop next door to me. Like, it's my bread and butter. It's my whole entire business. If there's not a coffee shop next door, I will start one in Millennial Decor. So I was just like, okay, we're doing this. So then I called the building owner, and I was like, yeah, I'm taking it. And I didn't even, not that I didn't tell Ryan, but I was just like, we're doing this. Like, we have to do it, So I called him, and I was like, we're doing this. I'm like, we're going to do it. I'm like, I'll run it. I talked to Doug, and he's in on it, because that's another thing. I told Doug, I will not do this without you.
Doug's the best, dude.
He worked at Starbucks for, I think, like 7 years. So, like, he has so much experience with managing people, managing a coffee shop, so I'm like, we've already got someone who already has all this knowledge. Like, why wouldn't we do it?
Also, the egg salad sandwich.
All the salad sandwiches are fire.
Fire. And the other morning, I came down, and he made a breakfast burrito for me. And he goes, hey, this is for you, right? I go, yeah. He goes, I hooked it up. And it was fucking fire.
He's like a nurturer, which I lack so much. I'm trying to get so much better at that. And Douglas is like a nurturer. Like, he is a caregiver. Like, he's the most adorable thing. But no, so it's kind of crazy how it all ended up. But yeah, so then I was like, okay, we're fucking doing this. Like, I'm running a coffee shop now. Like,
dude, and then you opened it on 4th of July weekend.
I opened it on 4th of July weekend, yeah.
I was telling everybody, I go, if that was my place, I'd be like, fuck, we'll do it the next weekend. There's no way I'm opening it up on 4th of July, a coffee shop. It'd be nuts. Your staff would be like, it'd be like Fallujah.
It was pretty wild. It was wild, but it was like one of our most lucrative days of the year.
I'm sure.
So it was a move for sure. And really, it was like, I did all of I can't say all of it because I had help, but I did 80% of the construction on the inside.
It looks dope. I got to tell you, it does look dope. Thank you. And when I was in there just the other morning, there was people clearly from out of town.
Yeah.
Because you can spot them a mile away.
You really can.
And they were all like, look at this tile. It's amazing. And I'm like, I never did that. So the place does look fresh. I like the way it looks a lot.
Thank you.
It's got a real nice vibe. And that leather couch, I could sleep in it.
Yeah, I've been looking for more leather couches to put inside there. Everyone's like, why isn't there more comfy seating? And I'm like, because you spill it on everything. You spill your coffee on everything. Like, I need leather couches, and they aren't cheap. They're not cheap at all.
No, they're not. But you would know.
Yeah, but it's been crazy. I mean, I've never managed people, like employees. So that was like a whole new thing for me. But I am...
What's your management style?
Relaxed, but I don't like micromanaging, but I feel like if someone needs it, I will do it.
Sure.
I'm really cautious about people's feelings. So, like, even with the mop bucket incident, I didn't text that person like, you left it, I was just like, hey, everyone, like, I didn't teach anyone how to use the mop bucket. So, like, here we are, it's just like, I'm very much of if an employee's doing something wrong, it's my fault. I didn't teach them something. So it's very I evaluate myself a lot. So if someone's doing something wrong, I'm just like, oh, okay, like, I must do something different for them to, like, maybe they learn this way, or maybe they, so I'm constantly doing that. And I'm like easy with them. I'm like, I don't care if you're on your phones, just don't do it when a customer's walking in. It's
I think that, so I'm really big on communication and candor.
Yeah.
Over communicate, but you got to have candor. Your team needs to be able to come to you and say,
yeah, for sure,
this is everything, and you got to be able to be like, okay, maybe empathize and then give the right kind of feedback or whatever.
Yeah.
But it has to be constant. You got to be talking to them, because if you're not, then we can't learn, they can't learn.
Yeah.
And they need to feel, it sounds so like 2024 to say something like they need to feel safe. even fucking sounds
You're
weird
so
coming
woke.
out of my mouth.
Yeah, you're so woke.
I am the furthest away from fucking woke, but I can't think of another word.
Yeah.
But they need to know that you've got their back. I think I lean more in towards the friendship side, which can get murky, especially when you get pissed off about something.
Yeah.
But again, my style is communicate, over communicate, and you have to be able to talk. You set expectations from the beginning.
Yeah,
like,
for
we're
sure.
going to be wide open here.
Yes. Yeah. There's no stupid questions. You know,
just
like,
dumb people that ask them.
Yeah. Well, just care about their lives. I mean, my
That's
God,
the other
it's
thing.
just like,
You gotta have some care.
Just care.
Yeah. I've been in organizations where I've led teams of 150 salespeople, and small as what we are now, where there's like 5 team members.
Yeah.
And I've had some real asshole management, and I've had some really great, and everything kind of in between.
Yeah.
And that really kind of shapes you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I always say that I've learned from the best and the worst.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I am the manager I am today.
Exactly, though.
You know?
You have to go through. I mean, Doug's managed a ton of people, too. He worked at Microsoft for a couple of years, too. So, and he managed people there. So I lean to him for a lot of stuff. You know, I'm like, how do we go about this situation? You know, and it's like... You know, he's like, oh, okay, like, let's just make sure we communicate with everyone. And we tried to have, like, team meetings. We had a team meeting in the summer, and it was awesome. It was nice to be able to have everyone in the same room, but it's just so hard to get everybody in the same room when you have, I think we have 9 staff members.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and we've got, you know, half of them have kids. So it's like, you know, we can't really have stuff on the weekends or their kids are coming, which is fine. But it's just like, if we're teaching them something, you know, like, okay, we're doing kitchen work, you know, it's like, it's hard when they have their kids there. You can't really like pay attention fully. So yeah, that's really the hardest part. Is making sure everyone has the same exact information. Because I always say that I live by Survivor rules. Do you watch Survivor?
I used to. Back in the day, I don't watch TV anymore. But
I got into Survivor over COVID. Because everyone did.
Yeah.
But I watched it with different eyes, I think, than I did when I was a child. Because like, my neighbors actually growing up used to have Survivor parties, and they would have like little totems where they would like vote people off, and it was like, my parents were not into that. I was raised very religious, so we did not watch Survivor. There was too much drama, so like I never really watched Survivor until 4 years ago.
just CNN. Just
No,
C-SPAN.
PBS.
PBS.
PBS, okay, and old movies, Disney movies. But no, oh my God, what were we talking about?
I don't know.
Jesus.
Survivor.
Oh yeah, Survivor. Yeah. So I watched Survivor, and I realized there's something more to Survivor than we all kind of think. You know, like we're all just like watching it, like, oh, it's like there's a lot of drama, but there's a lot of strategy in Survivor.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
And a lot of that strategy, I feel like, can be incorporated into our daily lives, and people don't think about it because they're like, oh, it's just part of the game. But there's like notes that I've taken from because I'm a visual learner, so everything I do and watch, I take things from. So Survivor, there's like most of the winners that win get along with everybody.
Yeah.
Every single person, and they never. Sometimes they, backstab people, but they do it in ways where it's like, hey, you understand, right? Because this is a game. And they're like, yeah, I totally get it, man. Like, yeah.
Right.
Versus, like, there's some people that backstab, and then there's people like, I'll never forgive you for that because it was someone did it. You know, it's like, so I always say, I'm playing the game of Survivor. You want everyone to be on your side at the end, because if you've never watched Survivor, basically at the end, there is a, what is it called?
The tribunal.
Yeah, there's the tribal council. That's what it's called. And they have the panel of people that have been voted out that then vote who gets to win.
Yeah.
So it's important that they like you, and you have to remember everything that you've done and be able to describe exactly why you've done it. And these are the reasons why I did it, to get to this, and this was my goal. And it's like, oh, okay, like you've done all that because of that, versus people are like, oh, well, I just, just trying to get to the end. And it's like, you're an idiot. Like, no, you don't win. So I've taken so many things from that. And even like dealing with staff, I'm like, this is Survivor. I'm like, they're all going to be friends to you, to your face. But then they have their other friends. They have other relationships. They have other, and that's expected, and it's like, you have to expect all these things. And then like as far as like dealing with people, I feel like I've done so much better dealing with people, thinking about that, being cautious about all of that stuff. Cause it's like, I don't know. You never know people.
You don't.
You never know.
I think the longer that I'm in the game, the one thing that I'll tell anybody when it comes to hiring and firing is that hiring is always going to be one of the most difficult things you do.
Right.
And firing is going to be one of the most difficult things you can do. But firing should be quick and fast.
Yeah.
And I've learned that over the years.
Yeah.
You can have a 10-minute or 2-hour long interview and be like, this person is fucking going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But the next day, if there's that one thing that you're like, I fired a guy. I had hired him. We had a long interview. Everything ticked all the boxes. Had the background in spirits, knew all the stuff, was totally good in bourbon, had a craft beer background, solid merchandising experience. I'm like, this guy's going to be the fucking guy for me.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Hired him. And then the next day, I'm going to try to say this so that...
as nicely as possible.
Well, the reason why I fired him is because joking with another friend of mine who knew where this person was working at the time, and he wasn't going to start working here for another couple of weeks. Okay. And they didn't know I hired him. Okay. And they were saying, yeah, I went over to... And he just gave me this thing. I'm trying to do this so they don't... But yeah, he gave me this thing for free. And I'm like, that's theft. Yeah. But he's like, well, yeah, but he does it for everybody. You come in, you're there enough, you're kind of a regular. It might hook you up a few times, and gave me this whole thing for free. God, I would totally say it, but it would burn it. Then I'm like, that's fucking theft. So, nope. Called him up and said, you're not working for me. Yeah. But it's that quick, though. I thought he was going to be everything. And some people would probably be like, oh, you should have given him a benefit of the doubt, maybe brought him in and talked to him about it. Yeah. But, you can't walk back from.
Well, and that's the thing that I take from Survivor is it's an individual game. Yeah. Like life, like even though we help other people, like in the end, like we're living for ourselves. Like, and I think we all kind of forget that. It's like that guy was living for himself. Like, it's like he's willing to do whatever because that's like his game. Like he's just trying to live his life, and it's like you can't make it to the end and win without having others in your court, but it is an individual game. So it's like that's kind of led me everywhere that I've been in my life. I feel like so far it's like Millennial Decor. It's like, oh, okay, like I'm doing this on my own. Like, okay, like we're doing this. Same thing with trophies. Like obviously I had help from my brother-in-law, but it was me that was like, we're doing this. Like we're steering the ship and we're gonna be doing this. Like it's like you want to have people in your corner, but really you got to live for yourself and do things that you want to do. And like even when I hire people at trophies, it was funny, one of our employees was joking. She was like, Madelyn, was I a personality hire? And I was like, everyone is a personality hire. Everybody is. Because if I don't get along with your personality, then I don't want to work with you. Right. 100%. Like, because it's all about how I feel at work too, and how everyone feels at work. It's not just about how great you are at making coffee. Like I don't really give a fuck about that. Yeah. I can teach anyone to make good coffee. You can teach anyone anything if they have the right mentality, Yeah,
and it doesn't matter how much you think they love you. They don't love the business as much as you do. So,
exactly. They're living for themselves. Yeah. It's like once you understand that, you can pretty much like guess what their next moves are. Yeah. It's like just like me. I do a walkthrough every night after they close up. And it's not that I don't trust them. But it's just there are always things that are missed, and I'm not like going in the next day and be like, you forgot this, and I'm writing like I'm not doing any of that. It's just like they don't care about my business as much as me. Like I care so much. Like I want to make sure there's not like dripping water on my wood floors because I just got those finished. It's like we don't stack the chairs on the tables anymore because they were starting to put divots in the marble. It's like, but they don't think about that, and that's fine. Like they don't. Sure. They're not paying for everything. No. And that's fine. But I know that now, so I check.
Yeah, we can talk for hours.
This is my game now.
And all that stuff. But. So you brought me some treats, did you?
Oh, I did. Yeah. So because it's Manistee Beverage, and you have like these tastings, you know, where you taste beverages. Well, I thought that you could taste this beverage next time that you're having a tasting thing. This is a tonic. It's a mandarin orange. This is 100 milligrams of THC.
Jesus Christ.
Let me tell you, this is only $16.
That's wild.
Okay, so everyone out there that's like trying to save up for, you know, a bottle of liquor, which is kind of pricey compared to this. I mean, this is cheaper than a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And this will really do some damage. But there's lines on the back here that have like 10 milligram lines, so you can like make sure. But I have a raspberry one, and I take shots of it. I'm not a big drinker because for me, I'm such a lightweight that if I basically have one glass of wine, I'm like, woo! You know, like... Doesn't take I don't eat very much, so that's probably why. I also bought these are Genius pills. These are plant-based pills.
Oh yeah, roger that.
Yeah, so they're good for you. These are only 2.5 milligrams each.
Oh, I like the microdosing though.
I know you. I figured
like
you would.
The microdosing.
I was standing there in Med's Cafe, and me and one of the workers, we were like talking about what to get you, because I was like, well, he doesn't really consume cannabis like I do. Because I'm like...
OG, you like to like smoke it
I'm
down.
like a chimney. Yeah, like because I don't really drink that much. And honestly,
that's
like
fresh, thank you.
Not to plug marijuana in any medical way, but it helps my ADHD so much. Yeah. Like I'm probably stoned 90% of the time in some sort of way. Yeah.
So I've gone to the netherworld a few times, and
what the hell is that?
Like, say, I would fuck up and drink that whole thing and go to Mars. So now I'm really, like, intentional on the amount.
Yes.
So, like, you know, a little bit of microdosing.
Little Genius pills. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Just enough to take the edge off. I don't need to, like, have my soul sucked out of me, which has happened a few times.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Well, and as a creative person, I feel like sometimes I need to step out of my own head and not go somewhere else, but kind of go somewhere else to be able to clear and think of things. Like, I'm constantly on SketchUp, you know, which is like my 3D model thing. So I'm always doing stuff, and it's just like, I feel like, marijuana helps me so much. Like, it's crazy. Like, every time I drink, I get very anxious because I'm very aware of my body and aware of how it's feeling. So if something's different, my body's like, something's going on, you know, and I'm notorious for like throwing up after 2 beers. I'll have like 2 beers and I'm like, nope, something's wrong. And I'll have like panic attack and I'll throw up.
Yeah, I'm trying to dial back on my alcohol consumption myself, just because it's not as fun.
Yeah,
anymore.
no. Well, it doesn't make you feel very good. No. Honestly. Yeah. I drink like a glass of wine, like maybe 3 times a week. Like if I'm feeling like, and really I'm drinking wines that I cannot eat chocolate. I'm like, okay. And he's like, I had so many Reese's trees in the last 3 weeks.
Dude, I just saw something online where this woman is suing Reese's for $5 million.
Yeah, I saw that.
What a fucking twat.
I saw that. That's crazy. I'm like, wow.
Because it doesn't look like the picture?
She's like, where's the eyes?
Yeah.
I don't see them. It's like an M&M that doesn't have an M on it. Suing.
Also, what lawyer was like, yeah, you got a leg to stand on, so.
Hey, there are some lawyers out there, which, I mean, I was just watching this, totally sidetracking, but I was just watching the documentary called, like, Natalia Speaks or something. I don't know if you've heard of this story. Yeah, so back in, like, 2019 or something, there was this family that adopted this little person, and she was a child at the time. And she was from, oh my gosh, not Croatia.
Wait a minute, dude.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think,
and they changed her age. They legally changed her age. She was 8 years old. They changed it to 22 years old. Yeah. They put her in an apartment. And so I was just watching this whole documentary, and I was like, oh my gosh. And the guy, the dad, who did terrible things and let
these people were
the wife do
fucking
terrible
squashed.
things.
Yeah.
His, lawyers like talking about it, and I'm like, wow, this lawyer is like really doing his job.
Well, they tried to say some shit that they thought that she was 22.
Yeah.
Or some dumb shit.
They're like, oh, she had pubic hair.
I remember that. I remember like this being like a Dateline thing for a while before it became like a documentary. Yeah.
Yes. So now, and I'm like, first of all, the mom has yet to be on the show. Like they just got done with season 2. The mom still has not been on the show. So I'm like, we don't know what the fuck's going on because we've only heard 2 stories. We're waiting for the 3rd. Okay. Then we've got like one of the sons who was a genius and he made comments on the show, but it seems like he hates both of his parents. I mean, so really what fucking happened? And it's like Natalia, poor thing, who's the little person, There's like, at the end, spoiler alert, okay? At the end of season 2, so she gets adopted by this new family, and she's like, I'm like, yeah, blah, blah. And then the family's like, she's never done anything bad. She's been with us for years. At the end of the episode, after she gets legally adopted, there's phone calls from the parents, and they're like, she's changed. She's never been like this before. We're done with her. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
So is it her?
It might be her.
Is she 22?
I don't think she's 22. But
she's
I think that...
8.
Well, I think that she is bipolar. So the doctors medically prescribed her as bipolar along with schizophrenic, all these other things. And she was like, I'm not bipolar. And it's like, oh. So in the end of the episode, I was like, she's definitely bipolar. Like, that's some bipolar shit right there. That's not okay. But, wild. Those documentaries are crazy. I can't even believe that kind of stuff. Crazy. But yeah, those are my gifts.
Thank you for the gifts.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
End it with Natalia. And we got to do this again. I feel like we could talk for days.
We could.
Yeah. I'm pissed because I have another fucking podcast in 15 minutes. And I'm like, I want to keep going.
You're going to have to, like, pop some of those. Maybe do a drink testing.
I might for that one. We'll see.
Podcast.
Thank you for this.
Hey, thank you for this.
Good job. It's awesome.